Dogworks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dogworks. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com. You can support this podcast on patreon.com/First Paw Media. From First Paw Media, sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company, this is the Dog Driver Show. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert Forto and Kourosh Partow.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Robert and I'm here with my co-host KP and we are the Dog Driver Podcast. And today we have a guest calling in from Yellowknife, Canada. KP, who do we have?
We have a great friend, open driver from Yellowknife, Northwest Territory of Canada, Brent Beck, with us, part of the big Beck family in Yellowknife. There is a big dynasty of the Beck family actually in that area. Brent, welcome to the show, and tell us who you are and how you started in the sport.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I'm Brent Beck from Yellowknife, Northwest Territories in Canada. 42 years old, and I started racing like right after I was born. It's been a family tradition. We used to use dogs for trapping and to get around. That's the only transportation we had. So it goes back into the family for generations at a time. So I was around dogs all my life. Before I was born, my dad our family had dogs, and so my first race was probably when I was like 1 year old. They used to tie us to a sled and in a one dog class and let us go like that. They catch you at the end, but so that was probably in about 1980. Was my first race.
Brent, we interviewed John also from your family. John is your brother, right?
Yes.
And he was telling us that originally all the dogs in that area, they were working dogs. Is that true? Yours,
yes.
You remember all of that too?
Yes, yeah. They were all trapline dogs, and everybody, there was no snowmobiles around or no vehicles, so everybody traveled across the Great Slave Lake and to get to other communities to get supplies and to work with trapline dogs on the trapline to get to their traps and get back to the town, get supplies, bring their families, move camps. So in the winter they would move to a different camp where the food was when they had to hunt and survive off the land. So they used dog teams to get everywhere.
So it was definitely subsistence, not racing purposes.
Yes, mostly for that. And then it turned into racing because all the trappers would get together in the spring, and that's when their dogs would be all in shape from all winter long, and they would kind of compete against each other who could get to this place first. So they would race them, and that's how the racing started around here. We have have a big race here, the Canadian Championship here in Yellowknife, and that's where that mostly came from, is that heritage where they all got together in the spring and raced their team against each other.
Tell me about that race, the Canadian World Championship Yellowknife.
It's been going on for over, I think, probably close to 70 years now. It's a 3-day, 50-mile mass start race, so they all start at the same time down chutes at the it's usually in March, at the end, last weekend in March every year here in Yellowknife. I compete in it almost every year since I was I think about 16 years old. And it's after, so I race Rondi and I'll race the Paw, and then that'll be the last major race of the season.
Is that why you don't come for the North American usually?
That's exactly why.
Oh, okay.
You got to do a little bit slower pace than the North American. I did the North American once doing my training for Yellowknife. It didn't work well because you have to go so fast in the North American. And I had the pace down for slower so they could make the 50s at a slower pace.
What is the pace for Yellowknife, Brent?
Right now we're doing, we used to do 15 miles an hour. Right now it's getting faster all the time as the dogs get a lot better. So we're doing it in like 17 miles an hour around there. That should be the average pace for that.
Wow, 17. That's fast, actually, for 50 miles. That's phenomenally fast. And it's on a lake, right? It's flat.
Yeah, it's all in the Great Slave Lake, all flat, and every mile could be seen by spectators. You could follow it on the ice road. We got an ice road to a community, and people could sit in their vehicles and watch the whole race.
Is that true that they were allowed only traditional sleds in that race years ago, or is it still going on like that?
It used to be only toboggans only because they wanted to keep the culture alive because the racing sleds came in and it didn't want to change it for a while. So it used to be the old time toboggans and straight line harness and things like that because before they used to dressed up their team. They had the bells and all that, but then over time it started to change. And then the last part of the change was any sled you could use. So they dropped the 100-pound toboggan limit.
Oh, it used to be a 100-pound toboggan?
Yeah, and if it wasn't 100 pounds, you would have to carry sandbags if you didn't.
Just to make it heavier. And what type of dog it takes to do well at this race, Brent?
You need the toughness and the endurance, but they need to they gotta trust you because to go that distance, you can't just go full blast right from the start. So they got to listen to you, and so you can't just keep telling them to go fast all the way around. You got to keep quiet. You can't say nothing to them most of the time until you want them to. So that's how you build that trust with them, and until you want them. So say at the 48 miles, and then you're getting close. You could get them to go faster from then. So you got to build that in the training for them.
Yeah, obviously the climate is harsher and colder. Do you breed them for toughness with bigger coats, with more husky style, or no? That is not a concern.
It's not really concerned. It'll be the same weather. We got a dry cold here. Like Alaska is compared. It'll have a wetter cold with the coast right there. But after our lake freezes, it's real dry cold. So 40 below in Alaska would be feel a lot colder for us because it'll be a lot dry and everything gets dry. But we do breed dogs with the longer hair so they could adapt well and keep maintained well.
Do you guys, obviously, as I mentioned, you have a big family in Yellowknife. Do you share dogs among cousins and brothers and uncles?
Sometimes. If we need a dog, but if like we could use a breeding or something like that, we do that. But other than that, if I got a chance to pass my dad or my brother and other way around, we're going for it.
That's true. Actually, the very first Beck that I ever met was in 1990, I believe it was. It was in Alpirot, Grant Beck, and that was the first time I heard about your family and Yellowknife, and I saw those dogs. The program that you have, the dogs that you have, are these dogs still from the original trap lines, or you outsource and you get dogs from, Streepers or some Hounds or some, Saunderson or anything else?
Yeah, it got bred to the burner dogs from Roxy Wright and Saunderson Hounds. That's all mostly the burner breed. And also we got some streeper breed in our breed as well. So it's all mixed. They got a lot of mix in them.
How many dogs are you training this year, Brent?
I'm training 19.
Not a lot of dogs then. Just 19.
No, that's not all. That's not a lot. I got yearlings in there that I just take them up to a certain amount of mileage, and then I'll leave them at home, or I'll park them and train them shorter and keep them playing and happy, and I don't take them over too long. Then so I'll probably end up with when I leave in Yellowknife here, I'm going to that race in Minnesota in February, and so I'll probably leave with 16 dogs, and then I'll continue to the paw, and then if depends after the paw, I'll take it by ear, and then if there's snow in Anchorage, I'll probably race Rondi.
Yeah, that's true. So how do you? I mean, you mentioned yearlings and adults also. I know that myself doing some of the open races, I struggle with pushing the dog through the mileage. How do you push them to go to 50 miles? I mean, it takes a specific sort of dogs to do that distance.
Yeah, you could do it with a sprint team, but you got to slow them down. So if you had an open team, you just got to slow them down and get that trust of listening to you. It's not wide open all the time, and the yearlings take a little bit longer. So you just want to keep them saying this is fun, and let them, because then they'll get tired after a while, and then they don't want to do it because of their age. If they're too young, you just want to be easy with them and play with them, make it fun. They get a chance to run with the main team at their younger years, but not too far. So we just keep them in like that, and then the next year, because usually they start developing better endurance and that when they're two, and then they're really good by 3. 2 and 3, they're good to do anything, but we don't really want to take our pups that far.
Brent, when do you start your training program?
We try to do it in September, by September 1st, but sometimes we all got full-time jobs, and we're always training after work and things, so sometimes it's a little bit later. And we also train on the road, which is right down in traffic, so it gets a little hectic if on busy hours of the roads with the traffic, because we go down roads, stop signs, and to get to our training trail, we run right to it through the traffic, and have to go stay on the right side of the road, everything like that. So we try to do it at night, and most of our training is at night because of our jobs. Okay,
and then you start straight from your kennel?
Yes, we do. We try. We start from our kennel. Our kennel is right in an industrial area where there's heavy machine and businesses, and now there's houses in that area.
And obviously you start with ATVs, and when do you get to running on sleds usually? Are you on a sled right now?
We're running on a snowmobile. We had snow real late, and it was a real mild fall, so our lake never froze until a couple of weeks ago. So I'm training on a snowmobile, and in the fall I train on the truck. I tie him to the truck, and so right now we're running on a snowmobile, and I'll probably do that for another couple of weeks until the team gets slowing down, because they're just excited to be on the lake and stuff like that. So we don't want to be flying through portages with sled with a little bit of snow, but we're getting the snow now, so probably next week or two I'll be on a sled.
So you train one team or two teams then?
I got 2. I run 2 right now. I run a 10 and a 9.
And a 10 and a 9, okay. And what about your feeding program and your nutrition program? What do you feed, and do you change anything from fall, summer?
In the summer, we feed mostly we get the trimmings from the meat market here that are no good, that they will throw away from the people's steaks and stuff. Mostly the fat and the extra meat. So they give us that, so we mix that with commercial in the summer, and that seems to keep their weight on. And then when we get into training season and colder weather, and we'll switch to chicken. And then when we try to get beef on the road, we try to put beef in there, and commercial as well too, and then all their supplements.
And do you, like for races like Yellowknife specifically, I'm talking about, do you feed them like a week or 2 weeks before that differently, or no, you just continue the same diet you have?
We continue the same diet. Once we switch from the summer diet to the racing diet, we just keep that diet.
Brent, do you produce your own pups, or you buy pups from family members, or you take dogs from family members?
I produce my own. I was buying it years back, but I only buy a few here and there. It's hard to buy dogs nowadays, and so it's a lot better to know what you got when you produce your own pups, and it's lots of fun. I love playing with puppies and stuff, so we just try to breed our own now.
You mentioned you raced since you were probably 1. What is your favorite race?
I like the ones I'm going to this year. I guess probably the Paw Manitoba, and then Rondy and Yellowknife race. That's probably my favorite races. But I raced in some ones I enjoyed, like the stage stop race. I raced in that over the years. I went to Italy and raced in the Topolino Walls Disney sled dog race they had going there. I enjoyed that as well, really well. So I enjoy all the races because you meet other people, and when you're traveling on the road, there's always different people you travel with for a while, and sometimes they'll go their own way, and then you'll see them later, or you'll only see them at these races. And it's always different people you see, so that's what I like enjoy.
Brent, I have a question for you. Typically, we ask an advice question. I'm going to change it up since we're in the new year here, and I'm going to change gears and ask you, you've been involved with the sport for a long time, and I would like to know, what do you see as the biggest positive change in your time in the sport? From when you were a kid up till now, what is the biggest positive change you have seen?
The dogs are good for the dogs, and are getting better. We're learning new ways. It's just like the Olympics and stuff. I'm sure they're learning new ways to do things and better ways. But the dieting and the different like getting the water into them, the ways of that is and the care. We're in the best care. They're high performance machines almost, these dogs. So the care is phenomenal, and you have to be optimal to keep this going. So that's a great positive change that I've seen over the years, and we're just learning more every day from these animals, because they can't talk to you and say, I need this in my diet, and you have to figure that out yourself. So we're always learning positive ways to keep these they're operating at their max, at their performance.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, Brent. KP, anything else before we go?
Before I let Brent go, I have to ask him the question. Brent, I remember you racing Rendezvous with a pink panty. What was the story behind that?
I think I lost a bet or something. I always joke around with those Earharts, hang around the Earharts, and all the other mushers are on there, and I think it was about a bet or something, and they didn't think I'd do it, and so I knew Curtis wasn't going to do it, and I can't remember what it was about, and so I took it off and I put it on Curtis's sled after, but somebody gave it back to me in the banquet, and I don't know, and then threw it in someone's dog truck after that.
I remember that day. It was so funny. Yeah, it was hilarious. Brent, thank you so much for being on the show. I really, really enjoyed chatting with you, and hope to see you on the avenue during the Rendezvous. Safe travels, and have a wonderful racing season.
Thank you very much. You guys could take care. Thanks.
Very good. On behalf of our guest today and my co-host, this is Robert for the Dog Driver Show. We will see you guys next time. Goodbye.
From First Paw Media, this is the Dog Driver Show. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you can see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert Forto and Kourosh Partow. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media. We're living in uncertain times. If there is one thing we can be thankful for, that is the recent pet adoption boom. Shelters are being cleared out, and that means you may not know much about your new best friend. Alaska Dogworks virtual and on-site classes are the best way for you to build a lasting bond and learn about your pup, new or old. From setting up a proper routine to learning the commands and much more, Alaska Dogworks provides you with the resources to develop your dog into one of the best. Right now, Alaska Dogworks has an exclusive offer just for our listeners. Go to alaskadogworks.com now and use promo code DOGWORKS and save 20% off your training program at the time of your booking. Visit alaskadogworks.com and use promo code DOGWORKS to save 20% today. That's alaskadogworks.com and use promo code DOGWORKS at the time of booking.